The website Slate is hosting a panel next week on how the news media should cover Donald Trump. Slate, named for the fact that their writers have the intelligence of a roof shingle, has stocked the panel with journalists of diverse political positions ranging from the left to the left. Moderating the panel, for instance, will be CNN's fair-minded anchorman, Brian Stelter, who has had the fair on his mind ever since he won a stuffed giraffe there by throwing baseballs at a milk bottle. Stelter issued a statement saying, quote, "In covering Donald Trump, we want to make sure that we are as objective about this hate-filled racist scumball as we were about the good and saintly president who preceded him, who was also handsome, to the point of being arousing, and I'm totally straight, I swear," unquote. Stelter went on to say, while reporting on Trump, at no time do we want our personal opinions to get in the way of our destroying him and salting the earth where once he trod. Slate's editor-in-chief, Carlotta Hysterics, will also be on the panel and will discuss Trump's effects on women in a loud, shrieky voice before swooning away. Ms. Hysterics told reporters, quote, "During the campaign, we went berserk every time Trump opened his mouth while covering up the failures and corruption of the Democrats. And that didn't work, so now what? Personally, after going berserk and lying, I feel I've used up all the techniques I learned in journalism school, and I'm looking for some fresh ideas," unquote. Another panelist will be Dusty Remnant IV, the chief editor of The New Yorker, and author of the book, If Not Park Slope, Then Where? No, really, where? Remnant wrote a brief 73,000-word essay about the upcoming panel, which said in part, quote, "The whiplash-like flabbergastion of disorienting from our frabjous Obama-lissimus to this suicidal fathomish of Donaldian melancholia is cormorant sucadil boracante massa cha-cha-cha hoopla." I guess he got tired of looking up words in the thesaurus about halfway through that. The final panelist will be Univision anchorman Jorge Kill All Gringos. Although, to be fair, I'm not sure whether that's his name or just his tattoo. Mr. Gringos told reporters, quote, "Trump is different from other presidents because when we ruthlessly attack him, he ruthlessly attacks us back. That's anti-American, which I usually consider a good thing, but not in this case. After all, there's a First Amendment in our country. Well, not in our country, but in your country, which would be our country if you hadn't stolen it, you Yankee dogs," unquote. Among the topics the panel will discuss, fake news and how to report it, narrative and truth, what's the diff, and burn in hell Donald Trump will get you if it's the last thing we do. Actually, that last one may just be a piece of graffiti on the wall of Slate's newsroom. Participating journalists say they look forward to holding the discussion and then vanishing into complete irrelevance. Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
I feel hunky-dunky, life is tickety-boo. Birds are winging, also singing hunky-dunky-doo. Ship-shaped, ipsy-topsy, the world is zippity-zing. It's a wonderful day, hurrah, hooray, it makes me want to sing. Oh, hurrah, hooray, oh, hooray, hurrah.
All right, it's Mailbag Day. Yay, hooray, it's Mailbag. And it's also, I am so excited, my Blue Apron stuff is coming today. We got this email. This is very cool. It's our new sponsor, and they send you a meal that you prepare it yourself with these fresh, top-notch ingredients. And it's like $10 a meal, but instead of just sending out for some stuff that's going to leave you feeling bad about yourself, this is a really good meal that comes to your door. They deliver it to your door. And it's easy to prepare, takes about, I don't know, like they say 30 to 40 minutes. And this is like every single human being in LA is doing this. This is what they do now. Say, look, we got this mail, your Blue Apron is on the way. These are the meals. Pibbly-style pork with spinach and citrus rice. I mean, this is like gourmet eating. Seared chicken and mashed potatoes with kale, mushrooms, and vajus. Indonesian spiced salmon. This is what they sent me with freekeh and marinated radish. This shows up at my door tonight. And then I would like to pretend that I'm going to cook it, but in fact, my wife is going to cook it because otherwise it's dangerous. So listen, this is, I'm telling you, every single human being, Jay, you've done this. You loved it, right? Okay, so it's like you can customize it any way you want. They send you new recipes. you can try this for free. We are going to let you try this for free. You can check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/Andrew. Please put that in so they know I sent you, blueapron.com/Andrew. You will love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron, so don't wait. That's blueapron.com/Andrew. Blue Apron, a better way to cook. 3 meals for free. That's cool. So they arrive today, and you will hear all about it next week. I will let you know. But you can try it out yourself for free, so we can compare notes. All right, before we get to the mailbag, which we will get to, I have to talk about the events of yesterday. We're incredibly focused the narrative of what's going on, because this is a historic moment. There's no question that we're living through history. And, when you're in the midst of history, it's hard to see what's going on. You're in the midst of this maelstrom, and everybody has an opinion, and also everybody has interest. They have skin in the game, so they're telling you what they think it means, but it's really what they think the best interpretation for them is. Come to the show, we have no skin in the game. We're going to be dead soon, so we don't get, we're just telling you what we see. And so yesterday, we're going to get to this Chelsea Manning, Obama pardoning Chelsea Manning. That is an amazing, amazing story. But before we do that, I want to put it in context of everything that's happening, because as we talked about yesterday, they're having this meeting in Davos, Switzerland, that they have every January, where the most powerful, rich people on earth sit down and decide how they're going to rule our lives. And these are people from all over the world. And this is they call it Davos man, it's kind of like this is the globalization gang. Okay, this is the gang that basically thinks, what do they call it? The world is flat. The world is flat. And yesterday I was joking that it's like Versailles, and I'm going to show you how like Versailles it is. The word Versailles right before the French Revolution, right, where everybody's a king and they're discussing things, and suddenly they look out the window and it's over. That's the end of that. So all these rich people are sitting there and they're discussing globalization in light of Brexit, in light of Donald Trump and all this stuff, but they don't really understand that the people are rising up and challenging their vision. Their vision is that the world is just a marketplace. It's a marketplace, and everybody's happier when the markets are free, and there's no such, culture, ideas. It's just really how to run the marketplace. So, and listen, a lot of this has worked. Like I said, it has brought poverty down around the world. So if you don't mind, if you're a German girl and you don't mind being raped by Syrian immigrants, it's great. It's great for them. They're doing great. If like you're a French lady and you don't mind the fact that there are neighborhoods in Paris where you can't go anymore, hey, it's fine. If you live in the Midwest and you have no job and you're killing yourself with prescription opiates, it's like. But think of the poverty rate going down around the world, and if you happen to have a religion and believe that you are in a relationship with God that is guiding your life and guiding your children's life, and you want to live out that religion. Forget about the Constitution's right to do that, because if it gets in the way of their vision of how this is being done, they don't want any part of it. So part of this, one of the biggest proponents of this is Thomas Friedman. He wrote a book, I think it was called The World is Flat, and he is just a cheerleader for globalization. And so he is talking to John Kerry, who is Davos man, like incarnate, basically. And he asks him about the election of Donald Trump, and here's what Kerry said.
But the whole thing sounds so darn democratic.
I'm sorry. I couldn't resist. That's Thurston Howell from Gilligan's Island, who sounds exactly like John Kerry. There's absolutely no difference. All right, so that's not what they're talking about. Kerry's making this presentation, being interviewed by Thomas Friedman, who, he's on the op-ed page of the Times, which I call Knucklehead Row, and he's one of the chief knuckleheads on Knucklehead Row, and Kerry is touting this Iran deal because how global it is that we just let Iran have its nukes, and Thomas Friedman is just sick at what's happening in the world. And listen carefully to what John Kerry says.
People here, Mr. Secretary, myself included, who are walking around with a pit in their stomach, a fear that so many of the things you just articulated and achieved could be reversed in a week.
I don't believe there will be. I just don't believe that. Take Iran, for instance. If the United States were to decide suddenly and say, hey, we're not going to pursue this and so forth, I'll bet you, I haven't talked to all of them, but I'll bet you that our friends and allies who negotiated this with us will get together, and that Russia, China, Germany, France, and Britain will say, you know what, this is a good deal, we're going to keep it. and Iran and the rest of, and they will keep them. And we'll have made ourselves the odd person out. We'll have injured our own credibility in conceivably irreparable way. Not irreparable, things, time, and that's just too dramatic, but we will have done great injury to ourselves. And it will hurt for the endurance of a year, 2 years, whatever, while the administration is there. But it's unnecessary because...
What these people...
A year or 2 years while the administration is there, right? So that Donald Trump is not going to last more than a year or 2 years. And, John Kerry's there to represent the world. He's not there to represent American interests. He's there to represent the world. And if we pull out, the world is going to take care of this without. That's what those guys are talking about over there. It's only a year. It's only a year, 2 years. We'll get rid of Donald. This Donald Trump thing isn't going to last. It's not going to be like a presidency or anything like that, is it? Is it, Dottie? No. It's not going to be. That's what these guys are talking. They are not listening at all. They do not see the pitchforks. They don't see the torches. They are like Frankenstein in the castle just before the mob arrives. They do not. And listen, the thing is, the newspaper that Thomas Friedman works for, the New York Times, is cutting its budget again. It's firing. They just released this 8,700-word report that our friends at Newsbusters got a hold of, and it's saying it's one of those things. If you've ever worked for a corporation, I have. They have this corporate speak where they say, "Good news, everyone's fired." They come and they make it sound like it's a good thing. And so this is how the New York Times is going to change. First, they're going to fire people. They say they're going to have budget cuts. They're going to be firing, and we're going to change the way we cover the news. Stories written in a dense institutional language that fails to clarify important subjects and feels alien to younger readers. This is one of the problems. They have a long string of text when a photograph, video, or chart would be more eloquent. How about just a cartoon? Just like a Donald Duck cartoon or something. This is like they're going to dumb the paper down because they can't read, because they think nobody's listening to them because of the way they're presented instead of the fact that they lie all the time. They have this point of view, and what they really need to do is increase the diversity of our newsroom. So they're going to hire some conservatives. Ha, 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 ha. More people of color, more women, more people from outside. As long as they all agree, they can look like anything they want. They can. So this is and this is Hollywood too, by the way. One of the reasons you ask yourself, Hollywood, which once spread American values to the world. The Hollywood that was invented, by the Jews, basically, and, back in the 30s and 40s, spread American values all over the world. Humphrey Bogart, John Wayne, these are faces that were recognized all over the world and represented who we are. Why are they so anti-American? Because of the global market. They know they can bring out their stinky little anti-Afghanistan, anti-George W. Bush picture, and somewhere in France, someone will buy some popcorn and say, I knew it. I knew there's Americans. I never liked them. Pass the popcorn. It's like this is, and they're going to make their money back because those movies bomb and bomb and bomb. But they're fine in France. So these guys this thing is falling apart around them, and they are not letting go. They have got their fingers in. They're going to if the New York Times has to reduce itself to cartooning to keep selling their crappy little leftist global vision, they're going to keep doing it. So now let's talk about the pardon of Bradley, now Chelsea Manning, okay? This is Obama pardons this guy, commuted his sentence. He was sentenced, I think, to 35 years. He's going to let him out after 7 years. This is the guy, just to remind you, he was Private Bradley Manning. He was in Iraq, I think. He was a low-level, he was a private. He was a low-level intelligence guy. And he released 750,000 emails, just kind of a dump, to WikiLeaks, which then spread them around. Now, remember, 1 day ago, WikiLeaks was the greatest villain on earth because they had released John Podesta's email showing that the Democratic Party just cares about power and is a cynical bunch of political hacks. Okay, and that was evil. That was Russia. WikiLeaks is in with Russia. This is terrible. This guy released stuff that showed our operational strategy in Afghanistan, showed who we were talking to in Afghanistan, who was cooperating with us. Catherine Herridge, the great State Department reporter for Fox News, I don't have this clip, but she came on Bret Baier's show yesterday and said, look, my people are telling me that after this happened, the Taliban went on a kill spree. I mean, these papers were found in Osama bin Laden's computer when they took him out. So you know, she said they went on a kill spree. If there was an indication that we were working with a guy, you know, named Fred, they just went out and killed everybody named Fred. They didn't care whether they got the real guy or not. They were just spreading terror. Here's Obama explaining his decision to let this guy go. I don't understand. Oh, because he's a lame duck. I get it. Okay. But he is going to do as much damage as he can. Now, remember, when this happened, this was the worst thing ever. The Secretary of State, I can't remember what her name was, but she condemned it in the harshest possible terms.
The United States strongly condemns the illegal disclosure of classified information. It puts people's lives in danger, threatens our national security, and undermines our efforts to work with other countries to solve shared problems.
So I'm going to tell, what was her name? Who knows? She's nobody now, so it doesn't matter. But we got to say goodbye to Facebook and YouTube. We're going to continue this discussion. I'm going to tell you how this narrative fits together. If you come to thedailywire.com, if you subscribe to thedailywire.com for a lousy, crummy $8 a month, come on. You can be in the mailbag, ask questions. You can ask questions while I speak. I will change your life on the spot like that. See you over at the Daily Wire.